Oh, we've got Linda and Laura. I'm looking. Amy Hwanski, do you want to?
Amy Hwanski is here.
Then I'm going on the next row of photos I see. John.
Hi, John Marr here.
And Chris.
Hello, Chris is here.
Yep. And Faith.
Faith is here.
And Amy.
Amy Sarah's here.
And Daryl.
I'm here.
Yeah. And Amanda.
Amanda's here.
And did I miss anyone? Is that everyone? And Carol Carey. So
I think that's everybody.
okay. So the first order is approving of the minutes from last month. Does anybody have any comments for that?
I have a clarification question.
Okay.
On page 2, line 54, Ms. Hwanski asked if the developer was going to do the planting or just relocate the plants for volunteers. And I wasn't sure if volunteers meant the plants that are volunteers or that volunteers were coming in to help do the project.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Meant for people, so we could add that clarification.
Okay.
Thank you.
Amy, anything else?
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Then anybody else have any other comments on the meeting?
Yeah, I've got a number of small things.
Okay, John.
Okay, on page 1, line 31, we talk about lower income neighborhoods have less trees in turn. Just for proper English, I think it should be fewer trees. It's items that you count 1, 2, 3, 4. You say fewer rather than less.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. Page 2, line 46. She will check with the engineer to confirm. I think in this instance, the engineer should not be capitalized. It's not like the council or.
And is it plural or singular?
I was expected it would be plural. We're just talking about.
Okay, gotcha.
It made sense to be plural. I just thought it should be not capitalized.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
Line, also in line 54, where Amy was just talking, something right after that as well. Oh, yeah, the next line, Ms. Robertson, she believes the developer plans. I think you said she believes, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's line 50, yeah, 54 at the end.
Okay.
Line 73. This, I'm not sure what the fix is. I think there's something wrong with this sentence. Where is it? No, I'm confused. I'm sorry. 73. This is a different one. There's an extra word here. She will also send everyone a copy. So just delete the.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Page 3, lines 117 to 118. This is the one that I was confused by. I'm not sure where it's supposed to read at the bottom. Ms. Robertson said that the bike path crossings have been allowed. That's fine, but because the bike path existing before these access roads, cars will need to stop to give the bike path priority. So because the bike path has existed previously or already exists, or the structure of that first phrase is not quite right.
Because the bike path existed, just change it to existed.
Okay. Existed.
Okay.
And then lastly, page 4, line 137. This is a really small issue, but I noted it anyway. Because of overhead wires, space concerns, and residence requests, I think that residence is a possessive, so we need an apostrophe at the end of S.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay, that's it.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
Any other comments?
Super tiny thing, but my name is misspelled.
Oh, well, that's important.
Oh, yeah.
That's all right. I know who I am, and I figured you guys would too.
Well, no. How
Join the club.
My last name is spelled L-A, capital M-E-N-A.
Okay.
That's okay.
Nope, that's good.
Common mistake. Don't worry about it.
Any other corrections or comments? Then does somebody want to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay, Amy did. Anyone want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, John, and all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. Privilege of the floor. Do we have any one for that, Laura? You're on mute.
Yeah. No, I didn't receive any requests. I only have a couple emails about the trees that want to be taken down, but nothing for privilege of the floor.
Okay. So then let's move on to new business and action items. The first are the highway referrals. These are trees that they wanted us to look at, correct, Laura? So let's, I guess, start with 805 Oregon. Chris, was that the one you were talking about? That wasn't. You were talking about Regent, right? Laura, had you sent that out to us? Were we supposed to, was one of us supposed to look at that one?
You're muted.
On mute, Laura.
Yes, 805 Oregon. I sent out like a week or two ago, so it's been a little while. Andrea did go, and I can read her email to you guys. I was talking to Chris about it. The highway department, doesn't think that either of these trees are like, yeah, they have to come down, but Oregon they felt was pretty healthy, and Regent they thought was a little borderline. Andrea wrote that for Oregon, all the homes on the street have small front yards and electric lines running on both sides. The two homes, 905 and 906, each have one tree in their front yard. The 905 tree, I think, has to come down. I think the one that 906 one has to come down. The 905 one is the one we're looking at.
The 905 or 805?
805 or 905?
Oh, 905. Do I have it wrong on the agenda?
You have 805. Oh, it's 905?
Yeah, it's 905.
Okay.
And then, so she said that really the two trees, 905 and 906, are the last large trees on that block. So she says that the loss of these trees would have a big impact on the streets and these homes. For that reason, she wouldn't, because it didn't look like it was like overly unhealthy, she wouldn't recommend that one be taken down. And if I looked at it, I didn't get a chance to track that. I looked at it on Google Earth, and you can see that those are really the only two big trees on that block. So if you lose those trees, the rest of the block's going to be pretty bare, although they're probably like two of the last trees, So if you guys want more time, I can resend that out with the right address.
I would like to, yes, thank you. I appreciate that extra time to do that.
When do you need something back, Laura? Just
I mean, maybe if we could just do it over I know we're gearing up for Arbor Day, but if we could just do it over the course of the next week, I think that would be, if that's doable.
okay.
And was there any indication why the homeowners requested it? Did they feel it was dangerous? Did they feel it was rotty? Were there specific things that they noticed that we would want to look for?
Yeah, so on Oregon, they both emailed me. 905 and 906 are both requesting for the tree in front of 905 to come down. 906 is coming down because National Grid basically annihilated the thing and it's not going to live. But 905, they think, the highway department thinks will still, generally speaking, be okay. But the roots are damaging their sewer lines. They've had it cameraed a couple times, and they just are frustrated by the amount of time that it takes for them to clean out their sewer lines. And they have documentation of the roots in the sewer lines and why that's a problem. I said this at the committee meeting, though, because I understand that is a problem, but we see people complaining about street trees uplifting sidewalks and uplifting driveways, and I don't think it's that uncommon to have roots in your sewer pipes from street trees as well. And so it's my recommendation that even if that is the case, we still stick to whether it's healthy and should be removed or not necessarily what is the problem. And I say that I researched it a bit on what cities do for trees that are in, that homeowners are alleging have roots that are growing into their pipes. And the majority of cities have the trees remain and just say that's part of living in the town. And, I know that doesn't sound super sensitive, but like other things happen to sewer pipes over time too. And like sometimes you have to replace them. It's not just tree roots.
So you're saying we really should just evaluate the tree as to whether the tree is healthy or not, and not concern ourselves.
I mean, I think so, because if we get into, is that sidewalk damaged enough that the tree should be removed, or is that to the point where they have too many roots in their line? We hesitate a little bit because we're already like just using our best judgment on these trees. We've talked a couple of times about it would be nice if we had like a criteria system or some like actual professional way to evaluate these trees. But I mean, I don't know that we really want to get into the weeds of how much. I don't know. It gets tough.
Right.
At one point in time, we had talked about perhaps any of us who wanted to volunteer to get specific training from the person to do hazard tree assessment.
Yeah. Maybe we can, yes.
Now I know all that got put on hold because of COVID. I acknowledge that.
Yeah, but we have a really helpful forester in DEC, Scott Moxham, who I think if I just sent him an email saying, could we have some hazard tree assessment training? I think and he's vaccinated or whatever, well, it's like, that might work now.
Yeah.
One thing about that, I guess, too, is that we're making recommendations as volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Right, Chris.
So we are not employees of the town, and any recommendations we make, are just that. And so I just quickly, the tree on Regent Street, it's around a 15-inch Norway maple. It's approximately 60 feet tall. Half of the tree, it appears to be pruned at one point. So a relatively large branch was pruned off. And after that pruning, it has some rot, and it potentially has like what appears to be a split. So there's the one side of the tree, it's basically part of the crown is potentially then missing due to that pruning. So I do have a photo that I can send around or could share right now. If you want to go, I don't know how much time you want to spend on that. So
I'd like to see the photo.
Sure.
All right. So I have to share my screen. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me try to see if I can do that in this.
And have it pulled up so you can just click on it.
I do have that. So present now, is that what I pushed, Laura?
Yeah, you hit present now, your entire screen, and then a little window pops up and you have to click on the screen that you wish to share and then hit share. Otherwise the button is grayed out.
Okay. Select window or screen. Okay.
Yeah, so just like click on that screen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here you go.
Allow. Select window or screen. Well, it's not. Meet was our entire screen. Okay, let me just see here if this works. Are you seeing anything on?
Yep, there you go.
Now we are.
You got it.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
and
can everybody
Chris, do
see
you have any close-ups also? Did you happen to take?
No, this is what I got. So, but you can kind of, let me see if I can kind of zoom in. So see this right here, this kind of, this area was raining. And then this area, there's like some rot here. And then I think this is where it was pruned, and it might've been pruned here. And then it appears that this, so I wonder if the the base of the tree is experiencing some rot. And then this branch hangs the houses right over here. So this branch is hanging towards the house. So that's where it's kind of like, it does, you know, the actual foliage is healthy. It doesn't have any dead branches, but it might have some rot in the butt of the tree.
Mhm.
Does anybody, should I stop sharing now? Any questions or want to zoom in further?
It looks like if you take that tree out, that street is going to be very different. But I understand about the.
It's just
Not-
the perspective here.
Okay.
So this is like a older kind of one of the original houses on the street. It's a farmhouse. They don't have any street trees. If you would turn the opposite direction on the street, it's lined with street trees.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not, you know, I think for whatever reason, and there is some smaller trees here. If you just to the other side, but this area right here, I guess, yeah, there is somewhat of an absence. But these people, their house, they have a lot of trees. So the house that it's in front of. So
They requested it be removed because here's here now. Oops.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so here she said because damage, well, it doesn't really matter, but damage to the yard, and they do feel that it's they're concerned about the tree tipping over because it's funny shaped. But
So
they
this
do
part
like
of the
trees,
tree is
and
leaning
they're
towards
interested
the house.
oh sorry.
No,
If the
wait.
tree did get removed, they wanted replacement trees.
So
Okay.
I guess I would suggest, you know, that the highway department take a look at it and see what they think. But, you know,
And do we have more time on this tree as well?
If you guys need it, because I put the wrong address for both.
Oh,
So this is 1131 Regent Street.
That's what you have, 1131.
Oh, I do? Oh, okay. Well, in my email, I sent out 1132.
Oh, okay. On the meeting, on the agenda, you have 1131.
Okay. So it's 905 Oregon and 1131 Regent. 906 Oregon also has a large tree, but that one is going to be taken down or already has been.
Mhm.
I think it would be helpful, like you said, to have some criteria because
Yeah.
if this tree splits and does fall, like, well, what are the implications of that?
Mhm.
Yeah, the tree council wouldn't ever be allowed to be like held liable to if we were like, yeah, the tree looks healthy and then it fell. Because like you said, we're just volunteers that are just assessing it, you know, as we can. The town is the one that makes the ultimate decision always.
Right.
So
I think we actually do have, like, within our inventory, this would not be considered a healthy tree. This would be considered a fair health, you know.
tree.
Mhm.
Yeah, so do you want so I'll send so how about I send you guys an email with 905 Oregon and 1131 Regent.
Thank
Take
you.
a look, but like I mean kind of what I took from Andrea is maybe preserve 905 Oregon for the time being, and then from Chris maybe look at taking Regent down with a replanting plan if possible.
Do we know what happened to cause the pruning on Regent?
Well, in both cases, and Andrea noted this in both her emails, that she feels that any of the damage to the tree appears to be from pruning, and it's National Grid because both trees are in National Grid power lines, both 905 Oregon and this one. They're in the power lines. The power line goes right through the middle of this one, right region. It goes right through the middle of that V.
Okay.
I don't have a picture of 905 Oregon, but Andrea said that the power line goes through that one as well, I think. So when Chris and I, like, if we were to recommend, like, for Region to be taken down, I would think we would want to recommend planting one of the National Grid tiny trees underneath it, like a serviceberry or something.
our friend, the serviceberry, yes.
Yeah.
And Laura and I had talked just earlier today. I had just brought up with her about trees being taken down, like there was a huge willow by the Niskayuna train station. I don't know if people saw that. It had to be
I
at
was
least
devastated.
It's
3 feet in
devastating.
diameter that was taken down by Schenectady County Highway Department. And then even along the bike path, they're clear cutting. And what they did cut was all kind of shredded versus clean cuts. And, if there's any recommendations or anything we can do to help, because they're taking away all the shrubs on the riverside of the bike path, which a lot of birds and a lot of a lot of nesting happens in the spring. So I just wanted to get that into the meeting minutes if there's anything that we can do, because because it's just kind of sad to see what's happening on some of these trees being taken down that we don't have any control over. And even along the bike path, it's a little depressing as to how shredded everything looks versus, clean cut, and how clear cutting they're doing, and if what the plan is there, because I see they're putting in memorial benches, and is the plan to just keep clearing all that shrubbery and put in more memorial benches? Because, as I said, if I had a memorial bench in my honor, I wouldn't want all these trees being taken down as a result of it. So anyways, Laura, you were going to ask about that, and I just wanted to get that in the meeting minutes. So.
And
Yeah.
who is it that is doing that cutting, Carol?
On the bike path, it's the Niskayuna Highway Department, isn't it, Laura?
I would think so. Yes, I would think so.
But
So I think you bring up a good point. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, but the big willow was a county road. So it was
that was county.
County Highway Department.
On the bike path, Carol, you bring up a good point, because sections of that are part of New York State parkland. The Mohawk Hudson Park, as it's coming down toward the river. So I think we have to clarify what's being cut there.
Yeah, Carol's talking about Lions Park. It's not actually that close to the Mohawk.
Not as far down, Carol.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
But
thank you.
it's the same technique that they use even on our highways, and it does take a long time to heal. I mean, I know that it's got to be annoying to the highway if we're like, hey, can you not use that attachment that makes your life easier, because because the shredding is damaging to the vegetation and unsightly. It's got to be, I would guess, balancing somewhere in the middle or something. Maybe we can just reach out and be like, is there a way to use this tool so that you have it be more clean cut? Can you sharpen the blades or something? Like, I don't know, but I have seen what that looks like when they cut a forest down with it. And it does take the forest quite a while to heal from those broken branches that are just hanging off of it, because they don't cut cleanly. They kind of shred, and then the shred hangs off the stem. And it's not a great way for the tree to, heal either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd imagine that there's probably some, town, county has developed best management practices for managing vegetation along bike paths. And so, trying to develop some kind of best management practices of when different types of management techniques are implemented would potentially be a way to come to some common alignment.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
Or some work.
We should put it on the radar, though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it could be factors surrounding safety, efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
And what is the role played between the county on that county road and the town of Niskayuna having it be a park with that willow tree? Was there any communication, or was there an understanding of the reason why it had to come down?
I mean, not to my knowledge. I don't have, like intimate details about it. I did tell Carol I noticed that there was a large branch that came down off that willow tree over the winter, and it partially blocked one lane. I actually drove by it, I think, before it had been pulled out of the lane. But that branch was cleaned up and picked up, but that tree I think was wholly in the right of way of Schenectady County. So I'm not even sure that the town was notified that the tree was going to be taken down. But I don't really have that much details about it. I
Thank
was
you.
also devastated because it was gorgeous. I mean, that's like one of those trees that's actually an iconic part of entering Niskayuna because it was so large and it was kind of like, oh, Lions Park, there's the willow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Not there anymore.
So, okay, I just wanted to bring that up. And since I walk the bike path every day, I have heard some comments from other people about the way it was, being cut. So, so next is plant list, Rivers Ledge Aqueduct Park, Laura.
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys quickly. It may not look this way to you, but it took me a little while to make sure that we were looking at the right Rivers Ledge drawing because we had looked, and it may be a little bit confusing because we looked at the inside of Rivers Ledge a couple meetings ago. We're looking at the outside, the park again. And the last time we looked at the park, like I could pull up the plans. The last time we looked at it, they had things like Japanese sedge grass, and they only had like 2 or 3 different trees. And we said, no, you have to diversify that a little bit. So this list is in direct response to the comments that we gave them and includes more diversity and more species because I think we said we wanted to see a little more understory. So if you guys are interested, I can show you the original plans versus these ones. It's much better. But I still think that this is moving along really quickly and they actually want to go to the nursery and flag their trees. That we could just, and so what they did, if you can see my screen, is like this is our budget. We have 11 red maples, for $4,400, and they're willing to let us say, no, we don't want a red maple. We'd rather have 2 tupelos as long as they come below $400. This is our budget, but we can swap in and swap out, and they don't really care. This is, but we couldn't be like, oh, we want 15 more red maples. We can just swap out what the numbers are here. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and just like, I was just going through this initially, so I'll just throw out my thoughts and then you guys, okay. So like 11 red maples is better than what they had before. It was like 20, but like, there's a couple of them and maybe, oh, you know what? I was going to show you. It's probably better for me to share my screen. Hold on.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Yeah, I was going to like hold, because I drew on the plans. I drew on them. But it's probably still better for me to like it's fine. So like at the entrance there's some red maples that are just all on their own. So I was thinking like on page C403 of the landscaping plan, and I'll bring it up in a second. Like we could take that first red maple and just make it like a sweet gum or something. And then you pull it up. I'll pull it up here. Hold on. So if you just in your packet, if you just kind of
Laura, I took a look at the list, and one thing that I noted, I don't know too why you're bringing this up, the hemlock, given the fact that it's hemlock woolly adelgid, should we, given the fact that then we're setting up those trees to either 1, die, or 2, be having to be treated with a pesticide.
Yeah, no, we actually said no hemlocks before. So we definitely, I think want to circle those and completely swap them out.
Yeah.
I don't know if we wanted to, if there would be a suggestion for those site conditions for a different type of evergreen. I don't know what that would be. Maybe others have a suggestion. If you wanted an evergreen on the site.
Yeah, I like the evergreens, and I do think that we should put them back. It's kind of funny. It's in some places it's not really typical Niskayuna soil because it's fill. Like we're planting these things over top of the old Erie Canal bed, and it's just been filled in with soil. So it's not like your typical bedrock clay, but it's still definitely got some wet spots. So like if something needed to be, you know, like have incredible growing conditions, it's still Niskayuna. That's not going to happen. But most trees I think will be fine. So like this is what I was saying, like, you know, we've got 11 red maples, and here you have one all by itself over here. Like you could make this a sweet gum maybe, and make these two tupelos. And then when you go to like here, this is a whole bunch of, this is red maple, red maple, red maple mixed in with white oak, white oak, white oak. You could maybe take these two white oaks and make them sycamores or something. So this would be like a cluster of sycamores, and then this could be red maple, white oak. Because I mean, they're nice too.
Yeah, I thought we suggested sycamore, so I don't know why they did not include them.
Yeah, I wonder if the engineer
Like, seems like an iconic tree next to the river, so I just didn't know
Yep.
there was a reason due to, like, because they do have those, their fruit, you know.
maybe that's why the engineer didn't put them in, but the developer said we can put them in.
So I think the suggested, you know, my opinion would be that the three trees you suggested, sycamore, tupelo, and what was the third one? Black gum? No,
Sweet gum.
Sweet gum.
sweet gum. Yeah.
Can we get black gums to grow up here? I said
I
sweet
think
gum.
those sound good to
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
And then, so then, yeah, we definitely want to replace the hemlocks. I wanted to ask you guys about that because I just tagged it.
I agree 100% with Chris.
And then there's 12 heritage river birch. I didn't know if maybe we could take a couple and change those to hawthorns. I'm not really sure about the soil conditions for hawthorns. And then the other thing I had tagged, which maybe we talked about before, was my rhododendron get creamed by deer. But maybe roseum pink doesn't as much, or we don't think we need to worry about it as much. I didn't know about the rhododendrons for the deer.
Okay.
Those are my thoughts. on
You had said hawthorns. I'm not sure if that's the best choice for this kind of public area, just because even ones that are
thornless.
that tend to be thornless, intermiss, still will sometimes
Yeah, thorn.
they do get some issues. But gosh, we have so many to choose from. You know, we were looking at tulip trees, liriodendron before. That was on at one point on one of our lists for one of our projects. So there's certainly lots of different things that we could take, because you're right.
Okay.
That's a big number. You know, we don't need all of those river birch. We could use half of them as river birch and half as something else.
Yeah, I guess I just had one question in regards to like a park of this type. Like, how many species would, you know, I guess that's what I'm wondering from a design standpoint. Like, how many species would you want to create some type of consistency and unity? Right. So it looks balanced. I mean, you know, maybe having like, you know, that's what I guess you know, maybe 12 is too many, but we certainly don't want to add 4 or 5 more species to where it doesn't have that continuity or unity. So I guess I don't have the expertise to comment on that, but like, you know, so I don't know, Amy, if you had a suggestion or other folks with any landscaping, you know, experience.
So you bring up a very valid point that you don't want to have 100 plants and each one of those be something different. One of this, one of that, one of this, one of that, for this sort of setting, because then you lose the unity. You're correct. There's no cohesiveness to it. And yet at the same time, 52 of something, I don't know. There's 52 little lime hydrangeas. Do they all have to be little lime even? Could it be some of one cultivar, some of another? Or could there, you know, that it just seems like a huge number to me. But Chris, I acknowledge what you're saying. You're correct.
So I guess to that point, like to diversify the tree species, would we want to add 3 additional tree species to this list? So that would give us then a total of, so it would be 10 trees, 10 different species at the site. If we added 3, I think. Is that right? Am I doing the math right? Yeah.
And what's the total number? Yeah, where's the calculator? What's the total number of trees going in?
If you count like the birches and the redbuds, so you've got
Yeah, if you count all the trees.
40, 51, like 55 trees. No, 54. No, it's 50, I don't know, somewhere in there. Is that on this one? Let me see.
I'm getting 64.
Oh, thanks, Carol.
Uh-huh.
Oh, because of the hemlocks, probably, right?
Right, right.
Hemlocks. Yeah.
I think Chris is making another good point. I agree with we can't have hemlocks. We've been having a lot of sightings of hemlock woolly adelgid coming in. But I do think it's important to have evergreens there.
Well,
Yeah, so that's why I was thinking, like, because, people do like the red maples and hopefully they survive whatever comes. But, like, this doesn't necessarily need continuity because it's, like, way over here in the corner of the parking lot, which is why maybe you could change that one to a sweet gum,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, you can leave this line of red maples here, and there's actually another line of red maples over here that I wasn't proposing to touch, partly because I know this area is very wet and red maples will be better over there. But like, yeah, and then like leave most of the swamp white oaks, but maybe just take one little clump and change them over to sycamores, and maybe just take, one other guy that's like off on his own somewhere and change that over to like a tulip tree or something.
and what should we change the hemlocks over to? What's another conifer that would?
That's a good question.
I mean, like,
So are we ever allowed to walk this site? And I may have asked that before, and I'm sorry.
You did ask, yeah, but what we had decided was that we wanted to probably get it to grade, and then you guys could walk it. And I actually, it's not to grade yet. So if you go out there, there's a lot of the aqueduct stones right in the middle of where we're going to plant the trees. And then also they have piled a stockpile of soil right in the park because they have to expand the parking lot, and they're going to need that to put underneath the parking lot. So you could walk it, but I don't think you have a sense of exactly what the park is going to look like yet. It's under construction.
So Amy, like spruce trees or
So, right, so we've got spruce,
So I like white pine.
Yep, spruce, pine, fir.
Con color?
So Rivers
They're
Ledge,
pretty.
we
They're
made
pretty,
them.
Carol.
They're white pines on top of the ridge. Like they have these white pines that are growing on top of the bedrock outcropping, and they're just gorgeous. I love them. And they removed white pines, so I'm a big fan of the white pine. but they also get eaten by deer, don't they? I don't know.
Well, the white pines do break easily in the wind.
So,
Yeah.
I always say there's a pro and con with every plant, right? Just like everything in life, there's always pros and cons. And so for each situation, you have to say, do the pros outweigh the cons for that specific plant, for that specific site? So maybe in this bigger park-like setting, a white pine would be okay. We don't want to use a big, huge white pine as a street tree, but if there's more space here, we might be able to do that.
Yeah, so I don't know that I have actually I probably do. I think I took pictures of the park, if you guys don't mind looking at all of the pictures on my phone for a second. Sad story for you. Oops. Let me see what these look like.
And just to clarify, Laura, this is not the path down by the river. This is
No,
actually,
this is the path. We were looking at River's Edge the last time.
Okay.
As you're looking, I think, Chris, you said that, hey, we mentioned sycamores before. Didn't we also mention service berries?
Yeah, are there not
Wasn't-
sensors on here?
No.
Sorry. Let me see if I can. I don't know why it won't let me go up. I hate this thing. Oh, there it goes. Sorry for all the pictures of my child. Ah. Hold on. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second.
Chris, you mentioned you wanted to add sycamore. What were the other ones we suggested to add for the minutes?
So I think that, right, Laura, you had 2 additional species you had just to kind of move things along. I guess that's
Yeah.
what it's sycamore. And then what other 2 species did you recommend, Laura?
She recommended tupelo and sweet gum.
Sweet gum.
And then I'm saying, hey, what about thinking about some serviceberry?
And then the recommendation for the white pine, I mean, for the hemlocks, do you think a spruce or fir would be better, or because it's smaller statured, or do you think that a white pine would be better? Any?
Well, if we have the space, I'm kind of leaning toward the white pine, especially if they took some out, just because they're hard to fit in elsewhere in town. And this would theoretically be also a place for birds and such to come in, and that's, kind of good nesting area.
So maybe if space allows, that would be the proposal. If space allows, white pine.
Yeah, because I think there are 9 hemlocks that we need to replace with conifers.
And maybe if we can kind of see where they are, maybe it doesn't have to be all one type. Maybe one area is spruce and one area is pine, depending on how they've clustered theirs. I'm assuming that all their hemlocks aren't in one area.
There's 3 hemlocks under the words where it says enlargement 6 bioretention planting. The image underneath has Ferris wheel type things, and that's 3 TX, which is the hemlocks.
So
That's one place.
This took a really long time, but here, this is not.
that's a good, Linda, that's a good description. The Ferris wheel looking, that's a good description. Because I knew exactly what you meant.
Okay, so can you guys see this? Like these will be, we talked about this before. These are the historic, they're going to be put in walls and places where people can touch and interact with them and have signage and stuff like that. So they're not going to stay in this linear. That was just them getting them out of the brush and getting them ready to be used. But like, this is like extra fill, but the park is essentially going to be like from where I'm standing over to the river, and it's linear. So it goes like, here's the parking lot. So like, it'll go through here, and the topography is really going to be like created by using these rocks. Like if you look in here, I'll show you. Like, do you see where you go? I don't have the grading plan on here for you, but like in here, like this is going to be like a retaining wall with grade behind it, so that you'll kind of have a meandering path with rolling grade where you can sit on the aqueduct stones and read about them and stuff. And they have those treatments kind of throughout. These are aqueducts. These are all the different places that they're putting the aqueduct stones. They'll just, these are the ones that are buried in the ground that you can walk on. These are like just sitting like benches here.
And there's the 3 hemlocks.
I think they are clustered. Oops. Sorry. Let me see if I got any more here. Oops. That's the hazard of using your personal phone for work. Yeah.
Maybe
but
we could just recommend that, it seems like white pine are also within the surrounding landscape. So when you showed us that photo, you can see white pine in the distance across the river. So it does seem like it would fit in with the overall kind of aesthetics of the overall landscape. But so maybe just give them two options. So, white pine, and then Amy, suggestion on like spruce would be, or, what would the other option that's maybe more compact or not quite as big be?
So we also have, as I said, every plant has a pro and a con, and all of the evergreens right now that we plant have some sort of issue kind of going around right there. So there's a rust going on pines, and then we've got the adelgid on the hemlocks, and spruces have some issues. So we also have to be ready to say, yeah, we understand that each one may have an issue, and we're open to that. So I'm not sure if we have to. You were wanting an exact
A
specification.
recommendation, yeah.
So I
Because
can.
they want- Laura, aren't they going to go, you said soon, to the nursery to pick these out?
Like tomorrow, because they want to actually plant like within like they want to tag the trees so that they get good trees like
Right.
Monday or Tuesday, and then plant them like a week or two later. So it doesn't have to be perfect though. Like I think I can put down white pine spruce, kind of look at the clusters, and then just work with the guy when they're getting out there. Also, I can get you guys out there based on what we have. And I know you guys are all the same. We could talk about trees forever.
Right.
But I've got a couple tuberols and sweet gums for some red maples based on clustering. Also a couple sycamores and tulip trees for the white oaks based on clustering.
Linda, that was the other one, Linda, the tulip tree.
Yeah, I didn't hear a good replacement. Well, if we wanted to take a cluster of river birch and change it over, would serviceberry be a good thing to pop in there? And then I don't know, and then or we just leave the river birch because I love the bark. I don't know. There's then I've got replace the hemlocks with white pines and spruces, and we'll look at the clustering on that. I put a note for maybe look at, like, I can count how many hydrangeas there are above the retaining walls, and maybe say, can you do this section of retaining wall in limelight and this section in, like, I don't know what the other ones are.
So there's
and then also, did you guys have any thoughts on rhododendron, or you think we should leave it? I love it when it grows.
Yeah, it's just.
It's very hard to say 100% because we're not there on site, right? So we're not seeing if it's a shadier area or a sunnier area, or how close it is to the water.
It's very sunny. But it'll get shady once the trees get bigger.
Yeah. When I printed, it didn't print out how many of each. Are you able to share your screen again?
Yep. Right here.
Yeah, because we have a lot to cover tonight.
Yeah, I know.
Sure.
Just from a process standpoint here.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, we could potentially, take this offline to make the additional recommendations if need be. Like what else, given Carol that we have additional items on the agenda that need to be covered.
Yeah, it's just that this has to be done by Monday or Tuesday, right, of next week. So
I told them we'd get the recommendation to them tomorrow because they want to go out to the nursery, and I apologize because it took me a little while to get the requote. The initial quote they had was like for the initial thing that we talked about that we diversified, which was with the Japanese sedge grass and only like 3 different kinds of trees. plans. So I had to make them re-quote so that it would be reflective of this plan, which I only got in today. But I think they want to get the trees in as early in the season as possible, which is a good goal, which is why I'm trying to meet their timelines.
So I have two comments with that extreme, while you're looking with the large number of hydrangea. Also realize that all of those flowers are flowering at the same time, right? So you have this huge amount, which is going to be very pretty for that time. But then that leaves open some other opportunities for flowering in the spring or earlier summer. And I swear, I believe that we had talked about this before, suggesting such things as maybe clethra, which is CLETHRA, clethra, which is native, tolerates wet sites, is a huge attractor to pollinators and butterflies, which would be lovely. Along there has an amazing fragrance, comes in all different sizes. They could do little ones, tall ones. And I think, and if I didn't say it, it's native. So, you know, maybe we take half of the hydrangea and do something like that. And another option is Ilex, ILEX, Ilex verticillata, which is a holly that drops its leaves.
Is that the winterberry?
Yes, ma'am, winterberry. So it's V as in Victory, ER, T as in Tom, I, CI, LLATA, verticillata. And that is called winterberry as the common name. And so then now we have some interest in the winter. And that, which is also native, also tolerates wet sites, can be full sun, part shade, deep shade, and then it's going to have yellow, orange, or red berries, depending on what cultivar they have. Those berries will persist through the winter, and then in the spring, the birds come in. So now we're feeding the birds. I would like to see some of these sort of more native things that are going to be pollinator supportive and bird supportive, rather than just 52 ornamental hydrangeas. So I will shut up on that now. And the comment about the rhododendron, usually that rhododendron likes dappled shade. So this is why I'm saying it's hard to say whether the plants would be good or not without being there. But if that's going to be put in a full sun, hard baking on full sun, I don't know about those.
I think maybe we should just switch the rhododendron to winterberry. Then you just have nice clumps of winterberry, 12 big ones that we could get. It seems like it would be good. I don't know.
And if they decide to do that, just specify that for every like 5 or 6 or 7 females, they need 1 male.
Or we could split maybe the ivory halo dogwood with winterberry. Yeah. So let's take it offline. I will I'll make some more notes and then maybe send it to like Chris and Amy by email and to see if we can kind of lock it down by the end of day tomorrow, or maybe could we have it on Monday?
I would like to make one more public comment that I've made several times, and I'm going to sound like such a jerk, but I'm sorry if you're presenting this as a formal plan. It needs to be accurately identified and spelled correctly. And still, every single time we get the plant list in, it's incorrect. And there's more on here today that are not spelled correctly. And so it makes me pause just a little bit, that if you can't take the time to get that correct, is that the behavior that's going to be later. And I know that makes me sound like a jerk, but it's something that I want to address.
No, it's true. And the sad part about it is this is a different engineer that's spelling them wrong. It's 2 different people.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that sounds like a plan, Laura. If you can send to Chris, and could you just copy me on it?
Happy to. Yep.
Okay, so why don't we move on to the discussion items, because we have a fair amount more. The planning board site walks, the River Road Kelts Farm.
Yeah. So these ones are actually follow-ups from the last meeting. I just left them on the agenda so we don't forget about them. But I don't actually think any of them are fully ready for a site walk. What I would want to do is have the developer like go out and mark the trees on Van Antwerp that need to come down so we could go look. And then Probably the same on River Road. Unless you guys wanted to do a pre-site walk. And then River's Ledge site walk, I left that on there because I was reading our minutes from last week and we said like we need it to be leveled so that we can kind of see what the park's gonna look like, but it's not ready yet. But you guys could go out there. So I need to I just want to keep them on the agenda so we don't forget about them, but we do need to do site walks per planning board on all of those things.
It's kind of tough to do the site, if you're saying it's not level to do the site walk, but the trees are already being decided before we even get to do a site walk.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
I know, but
Yeah.
they want to tag them so that they could get the healthy trees and they want to plant them quickly so that they're getting the springtime weather. So I know what you're saying, but I don't know that we really want to delay that because just my opinion, the earlier you can get the trees in, the better. I'm not downplaying this at all, but to me, like almost any tree is a good thing. Not that like if we get a good tree list, they get them all tagged, they get them there. We can be like, oh, can you move this one to the side or whatever. But we have $40,000 of beautiful native species when we update this list that we're getting. I don't know that it's. But, I hear what you guys are saying too.
Okay, so you'll let us know as soon as we can do a site walk. Right.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Any other on that, or should we move on to Dean Street? Okay, why don't we move on to Dean Street? Laura and Amy, you would walk Dean Street, right?
Yes, yes. Which is a very long street, by the way.
And just so other people remember, we got that grant. So we have some money to plant 30 to 40 trees along Dean Street. So the next step is sending out a letter. Is that what I'm seeing here?
Yeah, Amy remembered that. Like Amy and I walked it. We just counted in our head, and started, brainstorming good trees.
Yep.
There's a lot of open space, so there's a lot of ability to do bigger trees, which is great. And we definitely have a lot of flexibility. Like planting sites, I think we were up to like 60, weren't we, Amy?
We were. And 3, 4, 5, 6, and suddenly we were at 60. And part of that reason is also because some of the side streets that interconnect also could use some trees. So if we wanted to go really into it, not only do we do the one main thoroughfare, but we can go around the corner of streets that are connecting. If we had the ability, if we had more trees.
Yeah. But we figured, because we don't know where the utilities are and some people may not want trees, that 60 planting sites is probably about fine. When we send out letters and we start outreach, we would expect that there would probably be some people similar to Cornelius that would run out and say, no, I don't want a tree. So we have the flexibility within those, 60 planting spaces to get it to 40, but it definitely has the ability to take that amount of trees.
Yes.
And there's a lot of, it definitely can use some attention for sure.
So the next step, Laura's going to do a letter. And the next step for me is I'm going to walk it again slower and specifically write down addresses and based on the site conditions, what trees we think might potentially work at that specific site. And we were also trying to do some grouping, not just one tree here. And Chris, this speaks to your kind of cohesiveness, not just one tree here and one tree there, but can we have a cluster of 3 of the same sort of here and then down the street, another cluster, so that we have unity up and down the street. And then we also talked about, wow, it would be gorgeous if we could get some flowering tree clusters also going up the street.
I like that idea, Emmy. I think if you could think about that concept, I mean, Carol and I briefly talked about that, but just how do we have diversity but maintain continuity? So like the idea of, that continuity of tree-lined streets, like the silver maples, they create nice continuity, but there's no diversity. So how do we keep that same feel? So maybe this could be a pilot to try to come up with, a strategy to achieve those goals.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the timeline on this project? Are these to be planted next fall or?
This fall, we have to spend the money this year.
Okay, great. So everything's on track then.
And
Letter goes out, reevaluate the sites.
I think we also have a little bit more freedom because of some. Laura, what was the? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's the National Grid 10,000 Trees and Growing program, but because there was a winter storm that took down a ton of trees, they were able to grant approval for things, near power lines, but not necessarily under them. So this street tends to have the power lines behind people's houses, which is why you can use much bigger trees. There are a couple cross power lines that we'll have to be careful with, but National Grid, because there was such a heavy street tree loss, kind of did this one-time approval for these areas of they're a little bit farther away from power lines than normal.
Which gives us a awesome opportunity to have some bigger trees and also in maybe some areas that previously wouldn't have been approved.
Well, and it's nice that we're establishing a relationship with the Schenectady Soil and Water Group who's paying for it, and that they're, that we're partnering with them. So,
and they thought that they would be able to work with Schenectady County Highway, so that's nice. So we'll work with the homeowners, get the trees picked out. Soil and Water will do the grant and work with Schenectady County Highway. And then we can have a community tree planting in the fall, just like we had with Ray and Cornelius. Although hopefully we won't have to do the planting this time.
Right, I guess that would be my question is do we have, who's targeted to plant the trees? Is it, Highway Department, volunteers, Schenectady County, because it's a county road?
Yeah, Schenectady County Highway Department. When we had a call after our last monthly meeting with the person heading this up, and he said he would coordinate with the Highway Department.
Right.
We would probably want to be there for part of it or give guidance, but basically, we'll get them planted and they'll pay for them. So that's a good deal.
Yeah, that's a great deal.
Yeah.
Although I do think it helps to have the homeowners come out, and even if they're just helping us mulch the tree or something, so that we can talk to them about the tree and just be like, hey, this is your baby. Feel free to water it whenever you want. It's a wonderful, wonderful addition to your world. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If we can think of something, if we can get the highway to plant them, I think that's better than us planting them because it's a lot of trees. But if we can think of a way, as a volunteers, maybe they get them all done and leave us the mulch, and we can try and get people to come out of their houses and help us pat the trees in or something. I don't know.
Patting.
Yeah.
So that sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that'll be a great initiative. Next is Arbor Day. So Arbor Day is next Saturday, April 24th. We're going to pick up the trees on the 23rd on Friday, and we're going to try to get them all prepped at 2:00 at the town hall. So anyone who's available, and I guess I'd like to see if is anybody available for 2:00 next Friday to help prep the trees.
I teach until 3:30, but if you guys are still there at 3:35, I'll be there.
We'll probably be there by 3:35 still. Yeah. So Amanda, you said you could, and Amy, you could come and.
So Friday the 23rd.
Yes.
At 2 p.m.
Yes, at the town hall. So.
I can come at 3, Daryl.
Okay, great, Daryl. And we're also going to plant 2 sassafras trees for Arbor Day. Laura is working with Yasmin, so it'll probably be next Wednesday or Thursday at the Senior Community Center. She'll read the proclamation and the highway department will plant the trees. Once we find out that time, if there's anyone who could attend just to show support, we're not doing it on the actual Arbor Day. Because it's a drive-through event. But it would be nice if, we could support that when those trees are planted. And then we're going to put balloons and a bow on them. So as people come through the drive-through, they'll see that these trees were planted for Arbor Day, the 2 trees.
When
Yep,
was
go
that?
ahead.
Sorry. When was that planting?
Laura's going to get back to us. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday once she gets Yasmin's schedule. Okay.
And when are we citing the location?
So I emailed Ray today and asked him when was a good time to do that. The senior center is really excited about the fact that there's a possibility of them to get some new trees. So what I was wanting to do is see if we could get him, anybody from the tree council who wanted to be out there, and then the senior center people to come out and see where they wanted the trees. Because my thought is, if they're really excited about these trees and they have a spot where they want them, like, let's just see. I mean, even if it's not the spot that we would pick, as long as it looks like the tree would be okay there and wouldn't be terrible, I would like to put it, where they would like to, because then they have more buy-in and stuff like that. So I thought that was cool. They're very excited that we picked them for a tree.
Yes.
Great.
We managed to get 2 trees because they're on the smaller side, but they'll grow really quickly, and sassafras are just awesome. So Carol and I talked about this we're going to do a re-blast when we, just to remind people on that the Arbor Day is on Saturday, but because we can't really talk to people this time, we were thinking maybe in the re-blast, we'll talk a little bit about sassafras as the Arbor Day that we planted.
And then Faith, I think you saw the announcement. If you said you could maybe promote that at the high school about Arbor Day on the 24th. Would that be possible?
Yeah, I reached out to the principal to see if I can get the flyers approved to put up around the school and see if he can make an announcement in the morning. And also, I started an Instagram page, and so, some people my age are able to see what we're going to do, and I'll post about that there as well.
That'll be great.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes.
What's the Instagram address? Like, what's the...
It's Niski Trees.
Thank you.
And then we'll need as many people as possible on Saturday at 9:00 at the community center. Because what we're going to try to do, like I said, last year there was a long line. This has a longer access road to it. And we're going to put up 4 tables, and we're going to be in the middle so the cars can just split and go around us. And we can just hand out trees on either side, and then the cars will merge back in and go down. They'll exit down to Aqueduct Road, so it'll be a one-way process. And Laura's working with the police, to get signs set up, and also we have the town sign that we're going to try to put up and publicize Arbor Day. So,
and Carol, what time does it start versus what time do you want people there?
It starts at 10.
Okay.
So
thank you.
If you could be there at 9, I think that would, because last year we ended up having to start early just because we had such a backup of traffic that we ended up starting at about 9:45, and we couldn't wait any longer. So I doubt we'll still have trees by 11:30, but we just wanted it. Laura, you said a couple of people could stay till 11:30 just to let people know, that we've run out of trees, but we'll hand them out as long as we can. So as long as we have them. So.
And
Trees here?
We got 350, I think, right, Laura? Well, Laura, you're on mute again.
Sorry. It's either 310 or 320 because we had to stay under that $800 so that we would have enough money to buy the sassafras trees. So we were aiming at about $1,000 for the total.
Okay.
Or we're gonna make extra packets of the magnets and the flyers, so the cars that come in at the end can at least get the handouts.
Well, that's not a bad idea. If somebody still drives by and we don't have trees, we could still give them because the brochures either come in 250 or 500. So Carol, I mean, you can talk about this. We made the brochure actually not specific to Arbor Day, just specific to benefits of trees. And we're going to get 500 of them. And we have 500 magnets. So we can,
we can continue to hand that out at other events like Niska Day or whatever. We'll have this nice brochure about the benefits of trees. So.
And Carol, I got the seeds.
Oh.
The catalpa seeds that I was trying to get.
Yeah.
I have 371.
Wow.
That doesn't mean they're all going to be viable. You know, that's the way germination works. But I don't have any of those little containers because I was thinking maybe 4-inch pot. And I searched for those. I don't have any of those. Here's the seed.
Okay.
It's a little fuzzy thing. So it's got little fuzzes that come up here, elongated. It's really neat looking.
Okay.
And it's totally different than last time where we had the big chunky, it had to, saw it with a file to get through the exterior coat on that.
well, Amy, maybe we could put them in baggies, with like a little index card or something that just gives you instructions for planting. And when people are picking up their trees, we could ask them if they want a catalpa seed, and then we could hand that to them if they were interested.
And a little bit of information about the catalpa.
Okay.
How about paper bags instead of plastic?
I know, that would be way better. So the green bags that we hand the trees out in are biodegradable, compostable bags, but I don't know that we have enough to do seeds in them, and they're really big.
They're big.
Yeah, if we just maybe even if we
But in envelopes.
I was just going to say that. Yeah. What about do they make the smaller, for cards instead of the big, long business?
Nina, don't we have a bunch of misprinted envelopes? How many of those do we have?
We have about 500 misprinted envelopes.
There we
I
go.
was going to say that. We have envelopes that we can use.
Good.
They gave us
Cool.
for free because they messed up.
Well, that's good.
And Amy, if you want to
Yes,
give me a
ma'am.
little song and dance on the seeds, then I could print that and cut it into smaller pieces of paper to put in each envelope.
Linda,
Okay.
could we just put the instructions right onto the envelopes? Do we have the ability to do that or no?
Oh.
I don't know the quality, the printer mechanisms of printing on envelopes.
But we could do labels like we would do for addressing and stick them to the thingy and then just put the seed inside the envelope.
Yeah, or even just print 6 things per page. We have the slicer
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
stuff it with the seed.
Little insert.
Well, that'll be a nice addition. Thanks, Amy, for getting so many
Sure.
of them.
They're so cute looking. I went through all the pods, they come in really long string pods, and it kind of felt like when you're with milkweed, trying to take them out of the pod of a milkweed.
Mm-hmm. So that's the Arbor Day update. And also,
Carol?
yes?
Just a quick question about the bags. Are we supplying, bags from our house, or is the town supplying the bags to put the trees in?
We
Yeah.
have, because we buy the compostable ones, so we have all the bags.
Okay, because that would be good. Because
Mhm.
we don't collect
They're the
plastic
same green
around
bags
the
that-
house anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
don't have them anymore. They're the same green bags that we used last year to put the mulch and the soil in. They're those compostable ones that we get on Amazon.
So do we need some kind of I don't know, old newspapers
You
or
need
paper towels or
newspaper.
something to, moisten and then wrap
So we
in?
should bring newspaper on next Friday at 2 All of
We do need newspaper.
people save up newspapers and bring them.
Somebody
next
had like
Friday.
shredded. You can bring like as long as it's not like your. Well, I don't even know if it matters if it's like your bank statements, but the shredded paper also works good when you wet it.
Okay, so that's
All
good
right.
to know. Bring paper. So that's essentially the update on Arbor Day and the Public Outreach Committee, other than I want to give a shout out to John. He's gotten our website up and running from working
Yay.
with Steve. So our website is now functional, which is great because we can hand out those magnets now. So thanks, John, for your help on that.
Thanks. Welcome.
So
Hopefully I'll get better with WordPress later and we can actually maybe add some things to it.
yeah, but at least
yeah,
we've got current members and we've got that the Arbor Day is coming up next Saturday. So we've made progress. So
Good job.
So that's
Great,
it
thank
for
you.
the public outreach. How about the tree inventory and tree master plan, Chris?
No real updates, right? So we need to meet again. I guess what we should discuss is once we actually have some kind of the pilot data to look at, do we want to kind of devote a meeting or a half a meeting to kind of explore the data, explore the results of the inventory data that we have to date? Or do you just want to say, do you want to look at the data before we kind of write some stuff up? Or do you want to just, the committee itself kind of move forward with finalizing the plan and then everybody can kind of comment on that and kind of identify some key areas? So any recommendations?
Yeah, I thought you and I were working on some parts of it first, right? And we were going to meet back together. I do think we should have, either dedicate one of our meetings partially to it or have a separate meeting in which we can discuss it with members. But.
Yeah. So maybe that's what we're working towards, is kind of finishing that piece of it and then try to hone in on what particular sections would be most beneficial to have comments or discussion about.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the best way, is we can complete a draft. People can kind of submit comments, and then we can see where there are those comments and potential discussion points where we'd want to have a meeting around those discussion points.
Mm-hmm. That sounds good.
Okay. So we're working towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Yeah, you and I should probably meet sometime, Chris, again.
Just ping me, Carol.
Yeah, I just
get
need
my part done. But yeah, let's look to have a draft.
Arbor Day, and after you rest and relax and like have a moment to breathe, then because you guys are working really hard on a lot of stuff right now.
Yeah. So just let me know when you want to meet, Carol, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I need to work on my part first. I don't know if you have gotten yours done yet.
Yeah, no, just setting the meeting up will then prompt me to actually do my part.
Okay.
That's the way my life is. I'm working towards what's due tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
That's it for the tree master plan and inventory. Okay. How about the tree planting subcommittee?
So that would be the Dean Street project. The next step, if anyone would like to join me, we would go back out with our clipboards and either our winter coat or our suntan lotion, depending on what the weather is for the day around here, and just walk from one end, walk that whole section, writing down the exact numbers of the house and brainstorming what plants would work best for this exact place. And then all that information gets turned over to Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to give a shout out to the tree planting helpers that came out to Blatnick Park. That was Jonathan and Amanda. And Linda couldn't come, so she volunteered her husband, Michael.
It was invaluable. He brought it that barrel, a wheelbarrow that was with a big difference.
Yes. I'm not sure we could have survived without the wheelbarrow. And so we replanted a majority of those trees. And Michael staked them, And I just can't thank you guys enough. It was a lot of work, and I think that it made it way better. So I know that sometimes you don't want to stake those little trees because, you know, you want their roots to go and stuff, but I would be worried that they would have been mowed over because they looked so, I don't know. And now they've all got like little orange wiring around them and everything, and they look very official and they look very safe. And they've got mulch around their bottoms. And so I think it just looks way better, and we did some good planting work there. So thank you.
Good work, everyone.
Yeah.
And thank you to Michael Cicchetti for donating all of that stuff from his garage.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So is there anything else? Otherwise, I think we can adjourn.
Laura, are we getting more elms this year?
We should be.
Yes, we are. That's probably something that the tree planting committee should put on their list, is we're getting 21 or 23 elms. So it's going to be the exact same situation that we had in Blatnick Park, where, you know, either we want to put a line of them in a park somewhere, or we want to identify a street or something. But you almost don't even, 20 is almost too much of a number to put on a street, just because if we did lose them, that's so damaging to that street. But you could put a couple here and there on some streets and then put a line of them in a park somewhere. So we have 3 years of this. We've got the first year's done and in a good shape now. I'm very comfortable and confident with the way those trees are. We'll have some this fall, and then we'll have another 24, I believe, or 30 even next year.
Great. Well, I guess that's it. So if no other business, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Amy does. Anyone want to second it?
Seconded.
Okay, Amy. So thanks everyone, and hope to see you all at Arbor Day or the prep and Arbor Day. And I'll let you know when we're doing the actual tree planting next week. Okay?
Thank you, Carol.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks. Good work, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.